Hello there everybody, my name is Wattles. Merch is right around the corner. I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the Minecraft Guide. This world is the lovely world. So I have some good old microtransactions to take a look at if I can get inside when we start today's. If you've been around here, you know what that means. That means I was AFK fishing. As always, the goal is mending here right at the beginning of the episode. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we get a little more lucky than we did last time. We got one mending book the last time I AFK'd, which it's just not good. But under our second loot box here, oh no, this is not looking too spicy. Oh no, please, no. We lost the lottery. Oh man. Well, that's okay. I have 2 double chests of saddles to make up for it. Don't know if that really makes up for it. I did some organizing though before I AFK fished, and yeah, I definitely need like a storage building for all of that loot. But today we are going to begin a brand new project that should be pretty fun, I think. Now we need to scout out some sky, I guess, for this project. Actually, this thing that we're going to do is in the air, and we're going to tie it into a very useful Minecraft tool, or I guess I should say that comes in the form of a website, actually. So, we need some open ocean. That's what we're looking for. Candidate 1 is over here in the air, of course, like, no, turn around. Like, maybe like here or so, sitting in the air, which would be cool, or candidate 2 would be over this way. And, you know, I just don't know. We don't have anything built over here yet, right? Like, it's just kind of open. I can't do it over the coral reef. Ooh, I need to land and think. I can't figure it out. For the sole reason of visibility, I think I'm leaning towards this area over here. I'm sure eventually our town will be expanded into this huge space, but it's not there quite yet, so we might as well do our build over there. So let's go ahead and soar down and grab our materials that we will need for today's nice little project. Today we're going to begin a new zone in our world. The zone, well, that is going to be called, or at least for now temporarily until I get a good name, the Sky Zone. The Sky Base, the Sky Islands. I think I like Sky Islands the best. So we're going to call this the Sky Islands. We'll be putting some builds on it and maybe even a villager breeder, but we'll see. But first things first, we need to get this thing positioned out in the water somewhere. So we need to go out to the ocean and, oh no, we need to go out to the ocean and mark off a spot that we want these islands, these sky things to be. And I think that spot could be right out here where the kelp is, kind of. We want this build to be far, but we also don't want this build to be impossibly far, because if I put something like a villager breeder in it or around it, then I don't want to have to transport my villagers too far off over to the land. Like, if we did it up here, we could go straight over to there and then make like a trading hall type thing. So I think this is good. Now, part 2 of this project is getting really high up in the air. While I tower, I'd like to talk about this project and how random it is. I've been planning doing this all along. It was a big secret, and I'm very excited to start it. We're not abandoning our town project over there. We are simply taking a bit of a sidetrack, if you will, in a way. Today we'll be talking all about how you would go about building floating giant sky islands, some techniques and things like that, and then as we slowly progress, we'll add more islands here, and then eventually, of course, put things on top of these islands. But I think this is the perfect spot for our island, and that brings us to something that I'd like to teach you guys about. Down in the description, there is a link to this website right here. This is Plots. You may or may not know about this site. What is it for? Well, it's for drafting out or planning out certain types of builds. You could use this website to generate circles, ovals, anything like that. In our case, we'll be going for a large-scale circle, so we'll be using this site to make sure the circle is a perfect circle. This is a very, very useful tool to use, especially when you are building builds like what we're doing today. When I started building in circles, I used this site quite a bit to figure out just how I should go about doing that. You can use this site to make domes, to make circles, even to make wizard towers, lighthouses, and observatories. Now the thing we're going for is a giant circle. This island that we're building right here will be our main sky island. This is going to take a lot of materials, but it'll be worth it in the end, I think, because we'll have a really cool looking build off in the distance. If I am correct with my sizing here, we should have a circle with a radius of 16 blocks. So that means 32 blocks all the way across the circle, so fairly large. On my second monitor, the monitor that you can't see right now, I have plots open and it has my circle. I'm using the plots website as a reference to make sure I have everything just right. When you're building a circular build of this scale, you probably want things to be just right. Now, I'm going to keep a lot of what this build will be used for in the dark, actually, but that doesn't mean you guys can't take any guesses down in the comments. Maybe, just maybe, somebody will get it right and I'll mention it in a future episode. But for now, we'll keep most of it a secret and talk about making floating islands. Believe it or not, there is a technique to doing builds like these, and I'd like to say I have that technique pretty figured out. So when you're trying to build a giant floating sky island that looks like it was like ripped out of the land or something, start by creating your shape. It could be a circle, a square, a rectangle, really anything. The shape does not matter all that much at all, honestly. All that really matters on a build like this is that you have plenty of materials. And when I say materials, I mean dirt, cobblestone, and stone. We have quite a bit of all of those things, so I think we'll be good. Maybe we'll have to smelt up some stone, but hey, I heard that I have a handy auto smelter for smelting large quantities of things, so I'm not worried about it. We can make lots of stone, and I have a silk touch pickaxe and a project that needs done that I could probably pause and work on a little bit. Now, after figuring out the outline of your island thing, whatever it is, fill it in. Make sure all of the land on the top is just flat and filled in. You can come back later and add some depth to it, and you definitely should do that, but you'll need a platform that you can rocket over to and land on, or just lift up to from the water, depending on how you want to actually get over to the thing. Now, let's take a look from here. We'll just land, I guess, right there. Oh yeah, that is going to be perfect. That's the correct location. I'll have to take out that whole tower. We don't really need that anymore, but I need more materials. Today's project is probably going to be, or involve, quite a bit of back and forth. Let's go down to the mines, though, first, and grab our cobblestone. I have a lot of cobblestone that I left down here. We need this stuff smelted up. Okay, so the auto smelter is running. I don't know if it will be active while I'm over at the Sky Island, but we'll see. I think that's a bit far, so that might be a stretch. I might need to come back over here and actually AFK a little bit. I should have done that while I was actually AFKing, but I didn't think about it. When I AFK, I usually set things up really late at night, and I'm out of it. I'm not thinking. Back to filling this in, though, and perfect. This is a big island, so we can land really easily. That's another benefit in building these things large. Now, at this part in the project, it would be a good idea to decide what you'd like on top of this thing. Meaning, are you going to want a mycelium floating island? Do you want a grass floating island? What do you want up top? I want a grass floating island, so I'll go ahead and use my silk touch over here and bring some grass over to this platform that I'm making and place it down so the grass can slowly start to fill in over time, because we're going to be over here for a little while working on this thing. Now, I'm going to disregard what I said in the previous part just a little bit because I'm kind of low on dirt. I'm not going to finish filling in this whole platform. The really important part is that you have at least a little bit of space filled in around the edges here, because now we need to drop down below this build and start terraforming it. This kind of terraforming is very, very different than your normal type of terraforming. To start, drop a water bucket off the side of this build and have some blocks ready. We need to jump into this stream and set up a small platform for us to kind of jump down onto and work off of. Something like this, just a little bit below the floor of your platform. After that, you can go ahead and pull the water bucket out. We don't really need that there, and you can go ahead and set up a staircase going back up to the top if you'd like. You don't need to do this. I'm going to do it just, because I can. You probably won't need to go back up top on this thing unless your materials are up there for quite a bit of time. Now we need to terraform the side of this thing, and this is the semi-tricky part. Keep that water bucket on hand because you might use it quite a bit to go up and down so you can place blocks. Now, what we need to do is slowly make this tower kind of cone inwards towards the middle. I like to start off with a dirt casing, if you will. So what I mean by this is dirt at random heights, like what I'm doing here along the edge. Now you can go in sometimes and add some depth to the build, and you definitely should do that, but you don't want everything to be flat. If I had all of my dirt just stop at this layer, things are going to look weird. To do this build style well, you need to be random. Some parts should hang down farther than the other parts. I recommend pretty much creating a ring of building blocks all the way around this island and just place dirt and do all of your building from it. On this part of the build, you should only be using dirt and maybe coarse dirt or some kind of wood plank to mix in as well, if you'd like. But skip the stone for now. First, do the dirt all the way around this thing. Now, if you want, you can have things kind of pop out like that, but I don't want that. I want this thing to stay a clean circle because I'll be putting it on a map, and when I put it on a map, I want, that perfect circle look. So really, the next step is to create a randomization of dirt. Make it look like this thing has been ripped out of the ground. Get random with your height. Go in some spots, go out in other spots if you'd like. Just work on going all the way around your circle. You can start at one side and go towards the other side, or you could work on one side and then go to the next step. It's totally your call. But this is going to take some time because you're working in the sky and you're building down. So be patient, be ready. This is a project. This is not for the lighthearted. No. Another little tip that I could give you is making things kind of get longer towards the middle. So on this side, I'll have probably the farthest point down, like the area where I have the dirt going down the farthest on the middle, just to keep things kind of balanced so we don't have like a long part and then a long part and then a low spot in the middle. I don't know. It's your call when it comes to this type of thing. If you like it like that, then do it like that, but I personally don't really like it like that. Oh, and definitely don't worry about filling in the middle of this build. You don't have to do that right now, and really, you don't have to do that ever on these islands. You can leave it hollow and just make a basement to whatever you put on this thing or something like that. You don't need to fill it all in. Oh, and if you fall, be ready to go back up to the top. You might fall when you're doing this. Ooh, I've hit rock bottom on my dirt supply. Oh no. Will I have enough to finish the edges? We will see. It might help to take a step back every once in a while, by the way, when you're doing this, just to make sure you're doing it right. In all honesty, it's actually pretty hard to mess this build style up. It's not that difficult. It's just expensive and tedious. Tedious would be the word. But stepping back and taking a look at what you're doing every once in a while never hurts. And guess who had enough materials to finish this whole thing? That's right, this guy. I was able to do it. I am so proud of myself. So, the dirt is done. After the dirt, you're going to need stone, cobblestone, andesite, maybe the mossy variants if you want. I'm actually passing on the mossy variants today because I don't really want them. So what do you do now? Well, pretty much, honestly, the same exact thing. But, and this is a huge but here, you shouldn't be continuing straight off of the dirt. That's going to look really weird, and that's certainly not what you're going for. I'm sure of it. What you want to do is go inside of the dirt. So we're kind of funneling things inwards and create a randomization of, again, stone, andesite, and cobblestone. You can place this really however you'd like, but my big advice is to work downwards and towards the middle. Make sure you fill in gaps so you can't see into the like the inside of the island. That will ruin the whole effect. So work to cut the outside world off from the inside world below this island while moving things inwards towards the middle. And of course, don't forget about depth. Make sure the outside of your build is not all just entirely flat. Like in here, I might want to pull that out and move the wall back a little bit. The stone process is going to be a very long process though, because you need to encase this whole bottom area, and you'll want to kind of keep going down, but also not really. Don't get too far ahead of yourself quite yet, because we will be doing something towards the middle to make this build a little easier, a little cheaper. But I think now is about the right time to really just hunker down in, and I'm going to get a bunch of this stuff in. So wish me luck. Let's see what we can do to this build. Alright, well, that didn't take too long. After finishing the first layer of stone, and it looks like I have a hole, so I'll fix that, you want to really just do the same thing all over again. And that is why this build style is honestly so easy. So do a whole nother layer of your gray stone blocks and have it come inwards again, just a little bit more. And then after this layer, we'll talk about how I recommend you finish these things off. I didn't say it earlier, and I probably should have, but I definitely recommend that if you're trying this build style out, start with a smaller island first. Don't do such a large one, because that's going to be a lot of materials. So start small, and then eventually do a big one. I recommend starting with, oh no, will I make the jump? Oh boy, yeah, I will. Start with an island that is at the biggest half of this size. Randomization is key here. I'm doing semi-large chunks of certain materials and then switching things up, breaking things up. And by the way, amazing news, our auto smelter is actually still active when we're over here. So if I happen to need more stone, which I might need a little bit more, then I can easily go drop stuff off in that thing and then come back over here, continue working, and I'll have stone in no time. I'm really happy about that. Now, as a refresher, we've done 3 layers of the underside so far. Layer 1 was the dirt around the outside. Layer 2 is stone stuff. Layer 3 is more stone stuff. I am now ready for the 4th layer, and this is where you have an option. Well, 2 options. You can either have stuff go inwards and down again, or you can start making things a little more flat on the bottom. Now, I'm thinking I want my underside to go in just a little bit more before I start making everything flat, so I'll be repeating everything that I've done again once more. But if you have a smaller island, you might be closer towards the middle here at this point, and if that's the case, then you should do what I'll be doing next, which I guess we'll talk about in a minute. And I am finally done with my last layer inwards. So now I have actually a pretty small circle in the middle, and to finish this all off, we are going to want to flatten things out, kind of, not really. So you might need to lower your platform like a layer or two more. I definitely will need to, but the goal here is to just go in and make some of your ceiling pop down and some of it pop upwards. The key to this building style is depth. Just lots and lots of depth. So to make this work really well, you'll need a randomized ceiling with parts that hang low and some parts that go a little higher up. You can't really mess anything up at this point, so just go for it, finish it up, fill it all in, and then you are the brand new proud owner of a floating island in the sky in your world, which, I mean, hey, that's pretty cool. Now, I'd like to use this time while I'm finishing up the build to answer a question that I can hear already, and that is, why am I not using any slabs or staircases or anything? And, that's a good question, stranger, that I can hear somehow. You see, I'm not using any stairs or slabs on a build like this because we already have a lot of details. If we start to go too overkill on the angles and things like that, the build is going to be very difficult to look at. There'll be almost too much for our eyes to process, and that won't be good. You don't want to have a build that has 1.5 billion angles, and we already have 1 billion angles. So that's really why I'm not using any staircases or slabs on the build, and that's also why I opted to not use any of the mossy blocks as well. 3 blocks is probably going to be enough for a massive, crazy floating land. We don't need to mix in 4 and 5 blocks with the mossy variants. They would look cool, but we don't really need to. If you want moss hanging off of the bottom of this island, and I think I do, so I'll probably come back in and do it, I recommend using leaf blocks instead and having those things just hang off of the bottom. So you'll finish your whole island, then you'll come back in and you'll add those leaves randomly. I just don't really recommend doing mossy blocks on this thing. I mean, you totally could, and you could make it work, but it also might take even more time, and this is already a time-consuming build. It's big, it's large, it's in the air, so I don't know. It's your call, obviously, but I don't think it's necessary on a build like this. Okay, well, I went down to the mines and I found quite a bit of dirt, hopefully enough to finish. I really need to actually go dig up dirt from somewhere, though, which is kind of surprising because we don't have a cave base or anything, and usually when I do a cave base is when I run out of dirt, but nope, we're pretty much out of dirt. Not that big of a deal, though, because our sky island is now done. So I lit up the inside, or I tried to, I guess. I think I need a little bit more in here. And then I did some vines hanging from the bottom of this thing that I'll show you in a minute when we go do a flyby. But that is, I think, where we're going to stop the project for today. So take your best guess. What do you think I'm going to do over here? Of course, I said a villager breeder, but the breeder won't be on the island. It will be probably in the sky over here somewhere, and I think I will be adding more islands too, like around this one. I think that could be really cool. But a flyby. So here is the final product. We have a giant circle with some vines hanging from it. Now, I didn't go too overkill with the vines. Honestly, I could probably do a little bit more. I just didn't want an overbearing amount of vines hanging from this thing. The idea is to have it look like it's ripped out of the ground and really have the stone and the dirt be the thing that catches your eyes, So I don't know. I'm pretty happy with it, and we'll be coming back to it and adding things onto it and around it very soon. Like I just said, I think I'll put a few more islands near it, but now let's see if it happens to be on our map, and then we'll do the comment of the day. I really hope this will be on the map, but it might be too far. If it were going to be on the map, I think it would be on this one. Alright, we're going to have to do a flyby for sure. Let's see. It is on the map. Not entirely, but partially. That's amazing. Awesome. So, today's comment of the day. The comment is from Camely, and it reads, in episode 50, you said that you don't really like the haunted church building anymore. What would you build instead of it? And the comment is referring to our nether portal building that, yeah, I am not a huge fan of. I don't know. It's my least favorite build in the world over there. I don't know. Like, the steeple needs to be different, and Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of it. What would I do instead? I honestly don't know. I would probably do, like, maybe, like, one of those portal cave things where people make, like, a cave in the side of a cliff and then there's a big portal at the back. Like, that would be pretty cool, but I don't know. I'm torn on this build. I want to rip it out, but I also don't for nostalgia and, like, history's sake, right? Like, it's here for a reason. Should we really rip it out? I don't know. Am I missing a block? I am missing a block on it. Oh no. I've been missing a block ever since I built that thing. That's crazy. And also, I had an explosion happen over here. It killed a bunch of my animals. The pig is gone, unfortunately. The chicken got out. Yeah. That's not the right fences either. Yep. But anyways, I'd like to send a special shout out to Witchcraft today. Thank you for your support, and thank you everybody else for watching. I hope you enjoyed Sky Island 101. Let me know what you think about it, and go have a good one. My name is Wattles, and I will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.